Hey, guys. I am so super excited to be here with you with another episode of the Speakeasy podcast, where we go behind the scenes and talking about what it means to be the successfully paid speaker or author. I am your host, Altavis Pelzer, your voice manager, founder of the World Voice League, and I am super excited about what we have coming up down the pipeline. Why? Because guess what? I always get excited when I have a new episode for you guys. So with that being said, I want you to make sure that you're listening into today's episode. There's going to be some great nuggets, but I also want to get some feedback from you. So by all means, make sure that you come and join us over in the free community, bit.ly/World Voice Community, so that we can find out how this particular episode resonated with you. With that being said, we're about to start our show. Hey, guys. Okay, so I'm excited about our guest for today for a few different reasons. Her and I connected. We've been connected for a little while now online, and I've watched her do some phenomenal things in that short a period of time. And it's always a blessing to be able to see people really excel and do some phenomenal things. And then you get to hear even deeper moments of their story. You're like, oh my goodness, people need to hear your voice because there's something in it that can definitely help and motivate the next person. And so that was one of the reasons why I was so excited to have Sheree come on. And so with that being said, I want to say, hey, Sheree.
Hey, Altavis.
I am so excited to have you on today. So I want you to let the Speakeasy podcast audience know a little bit about yourself, and then we'll dive into today's topic.
Okay. All right. Where can I start? My name is Sheree Casey. My author name and podcast name is S.A. Casey. I am author, speaker, licensed minister, and a podcaster, a new podcaster, and a kind of old but new entrepreneur. And I say that because I've always had the spirit of entrepreneurship, but because I would do things like when my first marriage was failing, I didn't have any money. So I started going to flea markets, and I saw people selling used clothes, and I said, hey, I got a lot of those clothes in my house. So then I went and set up a table. So I always had the idea and the spirit. I just didn't have the execution skills. So, I'm all of those things. By profession, I've been a social worker for over 30 years. And I recently became a full-time entrepreneur and a writer. Very recently. And, I had to figure all of those things out. I'm a mother, a grandmother of 2 kids. One grandchild who lives with me, who's 12, help me, Lord. So, in between all the other things that I do, I had to create opportunities for myself. I had to find something. I told my boss, let me go back. I have to go back because I have to give a shout out to Altavis. I don't know if she's going to like this or not, but so I started seeing this woman on Facebook. She was on there every day, and she was standing up speaking before people, and she had books, and I'm like, who is she? Who is this woman? So I was standing there and I was looking, and I was like, gee, she got it going on. So I'm like, one day when I have a chance, I'll sit and listen to her. So one morning I got up, and I was feeling very crappy. Okay, some things were going on in my life, and I was like, okay, whatever. So how you leave your phone on the sink, take a shower, leave the phone on the sink because I was waiting for a phone call, but my phone started acting crazy, flipping out, showing videos. You know how those videos keep coming over and over again? So I said, I heard this woman talking. I'm taking a shower. And it was as if she was talking to me. She talked about her life and explained her situation. And then she went on about the book. And then she said something that just hit me and knocked me out. She said, your ideas can't go to the grave with you. Your ideas can't go to the grave with you. And it was right around the time when A Stage of Your Own came out. So it was kind of on those, because you guys were getting ready to go on the tour, and it did something to me. So, and that let me know. So round about October, I told my boss, I said, you know what, I'm leaving. I don't know what y'all have to do. I'm giving you a courtesy call here. I can't do this anymore. It's too much. I don't want to spend my years. The work is piling up. The pay is decent, but it's not worth my soul. It's killing me. Because for years, see, my dream's been chasing me. I've been a writer since I was 9 years old, but I didn't have the courage to write. I do plays. I do write plays. I forgot about that part. And things like that. You know what I mean? I have a one-woman stage show called Sister Girl. But and I did get a chance to do those things, but the real gut-wrenching writing, the books and stuff, I have not had a chance to do. And I wrote this anthology in 2014. God gave me an anthology, a book ministering to women who had children, who had young girls. Because part of my story is I lost my teenage daughter in 2007 to cancer. And the journey that I went on with in that process, I'm okay. And I'm okay because I instilled principles of Christ in her. So and if that's all you could give to your children while they're here on earth, that's a good gift. So because I was able to give that to her and see her go on and know that she had the confidence that she was, passing in the arms of the Lord, that's good for me. So, even though she left me with her child to raise, I knew that was a good thing. So so from that, I said, wow, us women, we have so much wisdom to give to our children. So what can we tell them that will bring them success in life? My success for my daughter was her succeeding and being able to walk into the kingdom, open arms, and rest. But the rest of the women, a few of the women in the book, they have one woman, her daughter's a doctor. And, and so my question to her was, what did you tell her that set her straight on the straight path? Because she had some bumps and bruises, and another woman, her daughter's a real estate mogul. Another woman, her daughter's an international singer. So I got these women and I put them all together in a collaboration. And when I started the book, it was a process because I did not know what I was doing. No clue. Okay, no clue what I was doing. So I sat down and, got it together. And then I finally got it together and I said, okay, I'm going to send it to a publisher. Well, I sent it to a publisher who went out. Now, this is 2015. It got to the publisher. And about 3 weeks after that, I paid them over $1,000, to do the editing and formatting in the book. 3 weeks after that, they went out of business. And I was crushed. And I didn't know what to do. Here I am. I'm telling these women, the book is coming, the book is coming, the book is coming. And I'm like, ain't no book coming at this point. It just paralyzed me. So when you said, you got that book. And I'm like, I have that book already done here. What can, I need to get it out. It needs to get out. So, you were a big inspiration in that and a big push, because after that, I've been like going ever since, That's why when you offer them calls, Tandy offered a call, I jump on it because I need to know some things, I need to know what to do and how to do it. And I'll follow it as much as I can, And then when the opportunity came up to do the podcast, I was like, oh, I thought about it, but I was like, oh, that seems so hard and blah, blah, blah. And then I jumped on the class, and, I didn't have no money when I jumped on the class. I want you to know that I had no money. And I was like, and you were like, you need to jump on this class, sis. I was like, okay, I'm gonna jump on this class. And then I've learned so much, and I'm enjoying doing it. It's moving along, and I see it moving even further. But I'm enjoying the process of doing it. So that's part of my journey, So I'm, and being an entrepreneur is not an easy thing, because it's part of your body say, I'm home, I want to chill. I'm like, nah, you can't chill, girl. You got to get in here and finish these books. You got to do this. So I'm finished with the first book. In the last edit, my own edit of this book, other book I'm working on called When Happily Ever After Does Not Happen. And it deals, primarily, and that's one thing about the summit, it's like covering everything. I'm like, get out of my book, y'all. Get out of my book. Because it's like, okay, so what do you do when everything falls apart? How do you bounce back? Some people never reach their potential. Even in our own family, I have aunts who could have been like college professors, lawyers, but at some point they didn't have the push that they needed to get to the next level. So they had to settle with life. And I'm like, for women, like you say, sharing your voice, sharing your story, I like to see us win. I like to see us win. And God put another sister in my path, former WNBA women's basketball player, Keisha Spellman. And she is a business owner. And she's kind of like you, let's go. Oh, you want to do this? Okay. You want to do that? Okay. Hey, hey, you can do that. I recommend you. So, and being around those type of people is what you have to do. You have to be around them, because if you're around regular people, like you were just saying, on your video, you can't be around people who aren't going, if they're not going to contribute to your dream. And I'm not talking about finances, I'm talking about support. If they're not going to offer you support, hey, go ahead, entrepreneur. If they're not going to say, hey, you could do this, then we're not going to have a conversation. You just stay in your corner and you watch God manifest what the things that are going to go on in my life. Because as I go up, other people go up. And oh yeah, I just finished a coaching certification course. So now I'm going to be a coach too. So I've been moving and shaking here.
It's interesting because with the title for today, it's, moving from idea to execution. Mm-hmm. You literally just hammered it out in a nutshell. And a couple points that I wanted to make sure that people get was that the process is not always going to be 100% foolproof. Mm-mm. It's not. I know that there are people that are trying to sell you the dream and make you think that it's 100% foolproof, or make you think that they have the bestest strategy ever. But going from idea to execution there's going to take some trial and error sometimes. It is. And, you get some bumps along the way. You learn some lessons along the way. I know that when publishing a book, there is so many lessons that you learn. I don't care how many strategies you got.
Yes, yes,
Every
yes,
time you publish a book, is going to be
yes,
some more lessons
yes,
that you learn.
yes.
But it's necessary, because then when you go to help the next person, you have exactly what they need,
Mm-hmm.
so that way they don't fall down the same
Right,
pit, that you might have fell in. They don't stumble over the same obstacles that you stumbled over, and that's what makes you valuable.
mm-hmm.
Like, we try to discredit the journey of moving from idea to execution and into success, but the journey is what makes you valuable.
Mm.
And
Right.
it's
That's so.
interesting, we all need that push sometimes. And I get people that tell me some of the strangest ways that they were able to get. They're like, I don't know how I got on your video. For some people it was like 3 o'clock, because I used to go live at like 6:15 in the morning,
Uh-huh.
and I'm on the East Coast. So the West Coast, that's 3:15 in the morning.
Uh-huh. I
And
know,
people
I
were
know,
like, I don't know why I'm up at 3:15 in the
I know,
morning,
I
but I
know.
just, somebody shared your post and I just came on, and I'm like, it's
Mm-hmm.
crazy. But I'm a firm believer in kingdom connections. And so the right person is going to come into your life at the right
Mm-hmm.
moment,
That's
and
right.
they're going to have something that's just going to make it all click.
Mm-hmm.
We get all click. Now, in doing that, and I know you said you had this conversation with your boss and was like, listen, listen, Linda, I got to go.
Melissa, listen, Melissa.
Okay, I got to go. Um, what was the response when you did that, though?
Are you sure? Well, there's another conduit to that. Actually, I'm still employed there, but on a as needed basis. She offered me that opportunity on an as needed basis. So it kind of works out. That's my plan. Like when I need my hustle money, that's you know, that's what I do. I go in for a few hours and I'm good. So are you sure? Because I have that kind of relationship with her. So it's like, are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure you want? Yes. How are you going to make it? Are you going to be able to make it? Those were the things, and those are genuine questions. And she was asking them from a genuine perspective, not from a naysayer perspective. And I appreciate that, you know.
Oh,
And
see,
I
I
told
love
her,
that.
and
Because at
so I
my
told
job,
her,
it was completely opposite. It was because they were trying to get me to take a position that was higher up than what I was. Because
uh-huh.
they were phasing out my position, and they kept going back and forth and playing around with it. One minute it was available, the next minute it wasn't, and then they wanted me to apply for the position, but they wanted to give me 3 months training. I'm like, y'all are
Mm-hmm.
crazy.
Yeah.
Uh, and then when we actually sat down, I said, well, first of all, we're sitting down 3 months or 2 months after several months after you said that you needed to fill this position immediately.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, you're telling me that you want me to do training for 3 months on
Right.
top of, what's ever been done, uh, for me to possibly be considered for the position. I
Mm-hmm.
said, you don't want me for the position, but you don't want to leave the position open until, you don't want to leave the space open. I said, no,
Right.
I'm not your Tonka toy.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, it came to the point where around about December, she said, I need you to write your letter because, I need to hire somebody because the job I had was, and this was the other thing that was so interesting. The job I had, I was invaluable, and I've never worked and been invaluable before, ever. But that's the best time to go when you're at the top instead of going when you're at the bottom. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times I left jobs where I didn't care. Bye, peace out. See you later. I couldn't stand this place, but I liked the people I worked with. I loved my coworker, and I wanted to be more respectful to him than anything because he's like, Sheree, you're leaving. What am I going to do? I have to have somebody that's compatible with me. So please give them enough time to do those interviews, and so that's what I did. I gave them enough time to do that. And, now when I go in there, I'd be like, how's it going? He's like, don't talk to me. So, you know, but in that he's moving to another position. So, it's a blessing. And I mean, like you said, you have to juggle things, financially. You got to juggle things around. I have another business, small consulting business I created on the side where I'm able, yeah, I got it. I'm juggling. So, but I'm juggling, I took a less paying apartment, all of those things to prepare myself because, I'm going to win. I don't know, the payoff is going to come soon or whatever, but I'm going to keep moving on. Like you said, even with the struggle with the publishing, I ran into another block where I have someone, doing some editing for me, and they've had my work since December, and they're out of the country now. I'm not going to elaborate on it because every time I think about that, I upset myself. It is finished. So when she gets back, or before she gets back, she'll send it to me. We've been talking, but it's been infrequent, not as frequent as I like. But that's the number one. When you don't get stuff in writing, of how it's gonna be, people just be. So I'm like, okay, that's number two. Fiverr will be my best friend, as the brother said yesterday. I will deal with Fiverr where, they tell you when you're gonna get your work back.
That's those lessons learned. That's those moments.
That's a moment, because I'm thinking, here I am, I'm home, and I want to, be able to have my agenda. I want to be able to put my calendar out, say, hey, I'm previewing, I'm launching, I'm doing this, I'm coming to the East Coast, I'm doing all these things. And, because I just left the East Coast, I could have very easily done a book launch while I was there, but I had no book.
Very true. Very true.
So I'm like, okay, next book, not with, love you dearly, you're a wonderful person, and nothing against you, but the system's not working for me.
And it's interesting because, you know, this is why I love having these conversations. People don't understand when you come into this industry as a speaker, as an author, there's so many different dynamics to it that people on the outside don't see.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't see the book not getting done on time. They don't see you having to travel and pay for expenses and all of these other things. They don't see all of those things at times. And so it's times where they're just looking and they're like, oh, I had somebody who said, oh, well, all you do is run your mouth. Oh, well, I'm a
What?
speaker, I'm a podcaster, I'm a blogger, I do live streaming. So I guess, yeah, I run my mouth pretty much the majority of the day. Well, not the majority of the day, but at least every day I have some time when I run my mouth. But I said, but it's moving me towards, it's a business. This is not
Right.
like, this is still part of my business. This is not
Right.
me showing up just to be able to say, oh, look what I'm doing. And it's funny because, we started out with you talking about you being able to start your podcast. And I pride myself on teaching people in a way that's completely different than everybody else. Cause I want you to love what you do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think it's so horrible when people get into something and then 3 weeks later they're stressed out. 3 months later, you don't want to do it anymore.
Mhm.
A year later, you're already on to something different. And I always have to go back and say, it's either one of two things. Either that person, that wasn't really what they wanted to do, but
Mhm.
for some reason they felt like they had to take that training and do it, or they wanted to do it and the training did not prepare them for what was coming.
Mhm.
That's one of the core reasons we do the Speakeasy podcast. Our listeners, are you listening? This is one of the main reasons we do this, is because I want you to understand there are some pitfalls. There are some things that may not necessarily go right with your book. There may be some things that may not go right with a speaking engagement. Um, and we did literally the whole for the whole month of February during the World Voice Summit. We had speakers come in from all over the world. We literally are trying to make sure everybody's timing is
Right.
right, and
Timing. Yeah.
people call out at the last minute, and we're trying to figure things out. It's a lot behind the
Mhm.
scenes that the regular person doesn't know. And then when they
Right.
get into it, it can become very frustrating.
Right. Hey, like I said, I commend you for that because first of all, I don't have that technological background to put on something like that. I mean, I was trying to host what was it? A vision board party, and my whole system went down. I was like, oh my God.
I've
I'm
had some of those moments.
and I'm on there telling the people, okay, sorry, had to reschedule, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so embarrassing. Here I am, so, ready to launch this thing, and, and it doesn't come to pass. But the thing is, you can't give up. And, even though you have those moments where you're like, oh man, ain't nothing going right. What in the world, you know? But then you listen to Alta Feast in the morning and the morning motivation, and you're okay. It's gonna be okay.
You look, it's so funny though, because even when I think about the motivation, like sometimes that's for me. Sometimes
Yeah.
what I'm sharing is literally for
Mhm.
me. And I'm just bringing you into my personal, time, my personal, like, instead of me doing a brain dump, I'm literally coming and talking to you guys. Instead of me sitting down and trying to figure out what's going on, I'm literally coming and talking to you guys. And I'm thankful that, he continues to increase me in such a way that it does not get stagnant. It does not get stale. It
Mhm.
doesn't, um, it's not redundant,
Mhm.
because a lot of people, you can see that they're not really authentic, that they may just be going and getting like a message from someone over
Right.
here, and let me just go share this, and let me get, and it's not like that. And I love that about it. I've been live streaming for 5 years now. Like, that's crazy. This little introvert, but it's
Yeah, but it's about what your calling is. It's your calling. It's your calling to speak into the lives of people. When you have that calling on you, there's nothing you can do about it. And a lot of times there's not very much reward that you can see. You just have to know that, remember when only those few came back to tell Jesus thank you, and
mhm.
only one came. Yeah, nobody came back but one person. So where were the rest of them? Out there, getting it in, doing what they're supposed to
Doing what
do.
they was
So,
doing.
you a lot of times you won't see the gratitude in that, but you know that you planted seeds, like you said, planted seeds into the lives of many of these women. And I want to tell you, that this is the year to testimony. So what you're doing is right on point. This is the year that women's voices all over the world will be heard. They'll be talking about things that haven't been talked about before.
Mhm.
Beyond like sexual abuse, beyond those things. I'm thinking about working on I was married to a substance abuser. So you know, I'm like thinking about writing a book called The Crack Mistress. You know what I'm saying? So, you
Oh,
know, because nobody's talking about what you experience beyond, you know, in that situation. You know what I mean? What you go through. You know, the missing, coming home and wondering if your house gonna be there. You
come
know,
on.
uh, coming home, waiting for the paycheck to come home and it don't come and you can't pay your rent because he done used it all. You know, I was in, and that's a form of abuse.
It is.
That's a form of abuse. So, you know, for 10 years, I put up with that. Well, not quite 10, but enough, you know, enough. And I'm like, okay, you know, love you dearly, but you got to go because it's not conducive to the way I want to live. And a lot of times women don't know how to come to that point. You know, they don't know how to deal with that. That's a lot on your plate. When you grinding, I'm a grinder. You know, before I got sick in May, I used to work 2 and 3 outside jobs. You know, I go pick up an overnight shift somewhere in a minute. You know, work all night, go to the next job. I don't do that no more. I can't afford to physically. But, you know, so there are things that the world needs to know that is going on with women so that we can support one another and say, hey, I got you, sis. You know, you know, I know how that is, but you know, you're gonna have to figure something out.
Hmm.
You're gonna have to figure it out.
That's valuable.
You know,
It is because it's definitely it's time.
yeah, it's time. We've been in the back burner, struggling, raising kids, raising other people's kids. You know, you know, uh, putting up with stuff that we shouldn't have from people. Like I love what the sister said the other day, Cordelia, I think her name is,
Hmm.
when she talked about how your body and everything is affected by even the wrong people being in your life. I was like, ouch. That's why I got a headache every time I talk to that person.
It made you go back and look and go, that's why family reunions be so stressful for me. Come back thinking I done ran a marathon.
Be like, wow, is this real? Did I really have this experience? You know, and it's just yeah, this is the year of the testimony. You gonna, for men and women, but mostly for women, their voices are going to go out into the universe. And people are going to look and they're going to say, wow, you know, just like I heard your story and, you know, about how, you know, and I tell people that all the time. I'm like, man, this young woman from Philly, she she said she was homeless when she wrote her book on the couch. I carry that with me because I'm like, man, I'm thinking about that. You know, if she could do that, what can, if God could do that for her, he could do it for you too. So, you
Mm-mm.
know,
Most definitely. Oh my goodness. This like we could go on and on and on
yes,
with
we
this particular
could.
conversation because this is,
We
guys, this
could.
is the heart of it. Like I want you to gain like true access to this. This is the heart of it. I'm so thankful for where, you know, I've been brought and what I've been brought through. And it's, I always ask every guest that comes on, is has there been any blunders for you in this journey that you look back now and you're like, man, that wasn't the right choice? And I know we talked about, you know, with the
But,
publishing piece,
mhm.
but the journey in itself, has there been any blunders for you?
Well, absolutely. You know, like I said, you have to look at your time. You know, time, money. You know, is I'm still a little lazy in you know, some instances. You know, blunder with, like I said, I'm doing so many different little side stuff right now. I can't keep track of stuff sometimes, and that's a blunder. You know, I was on the schedule to work and forgot I was on the schedule to work. You know, things like that. You know, just managing time, and and then the whole thing with the book, and just stuff like that, and trying to keep ahead of the finances. Okay, I'm making this money today, but gotta have that money for next, all that kind of stuff. So is those are the kind of blunders, and making sure the schedules are tight, because I have to do everything around my grandson who's 12, and the teenager, and he plays basketball on the highest level. So I'm running around with him, so everything has to be around him. So that's like the biggest blunder. But the biggest blunder was the book thing, and people don't understand, as a writer, and I'm not just a writer, I'm a trained writer, because I went to school for creative writing. I have a BA in creative writing. I mean, that don't make me all that in a bag of chips, because I've been sitting on the writing all these years, but
it definitely stands out for something.
But it stands out for some. I paid for it, right?
Exactly.
So writing is your baby. What you put in writing is your baby. It's important to you. It might not be important to other people, but it's important to you. What you put down on paper is important to you. And when others don't view it that way, it kind of makes you a little uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Like,
most
okay,
definitely.
so you didn't think that, it was worth you, like, at least shoot me an email giving me a timeline, but like I said, that's the biggest lesson I learned. And and I learned how to and then the book cover, I was nervous about the covers, and then I took a course. I took a course, so I could learn how to do that. So just those things, just the adjustment period with the whole situation.
Most definitely. So I want to say thank you for being a guest on the show today. Like, I always love listening to people's stories of, that it was that one message, it was that one quote you said, it was that one story you shared.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, really? You're like,
yeah. And I said, I never got a chance to tell you that. I said, I'm going to tell her that, because it's important to know that, I mean, even in the shower, I was like, the phone was there, it was going, who is that talking? And like I said, I saw you, several times speaking. I was like, man, this is the guy that's going on. Who is she? And even my grandson, you ain't listening. Where's Altavis this morning? You ain't listening to Altavis.
oh my goodness. It was, listen, I've had kids that know my name, and I was like, oh, they said, yeah, they were looking for you this morning. They were looking for your live this morning. I told them, she was already live. Well, you got to go play it, Mom. Oh, okay. I said, yeah, listen, each one reach one.
That's right.
That's all I'm worried about.
That's right. And, and I try to bring people on, but they, I mean, it's every man for themselves. Because if you're not going to take the knowledge and what's being, because like I told you before, I was part of another format before, and I thought that was a good format until I saw what was going on, and I didn't like the way that individual was treating people. Like if I ask you, let's say you got on and you were selling your course, and someone said, oh, do you have a payment plan? No, there's no payment plan. And I'm like, you can't treat people like that. Somebody might not have the money.
Exactly.
And so they're already feeling bad and traumatized because they don't have the money. You don't mistreat people, and I don't like formats like that. Don't put people on blast and make them feel bad. You know what I mean? You offer them an opportunity. Say, you know what, and that's what I like about most of the people that you connect with got a payment plan.
Right. Because I mean, you don't know somebody's finances.
That's right. You
And
know.
I found out this is just for me personally. I've put out money and overdrew my account to be in programs, and
Mm-hmm.
I put out money and that I did not have, and
Mm-hmm.
was looking around going, all right, they about to shut off the lights now. They about
Uh-huh.
to, I don't know what we're gonna eat next week, and
Right.
and so I know what that is when you're
Mm-hmm.
attempting to get what you need in the beginning.
Right.
It's like, I'm gonna do this by any means necessary.
Mm-hmm.
And I made sure my children always ate.
Right.
I made sure that they always had, but I sacrificed a lot in the beginning to get to even where I am right now. And the sacrifices weren't all necessary sacrifices.
No, they weren't. They yeah, yeah. Yeah, and you gotta weigh that too. Like, okay, do
Mm-hmm.
I buy this? Or do I, or do I, you know, pay the bill? And right
Mm-hmm.
now I can't make those choices. I can't if I buy something, it gotta be, I have to give myself a budget,
Mm-hmm.
between
Exactly.
27 and 57. If it ain't between those two, I can't do it.
And I
You know?
tell people all the time, I'm like, I made a commitment, and things started to change when I made this commitment to myself and to my team and to my clients.
Mm-hmm.
And the commitment was that we would no longer waste time, energy, and money.
Mm-hmm.
And that was back in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
And then with my clients, as we went further and further along, I said, that means y'all don't need to be going to and purchasing all of these different books and programs and this and that. If you're in our membership, you get access to a lot of different things in here. And if
Yes,
it's
you
something
do.
I don't know, I'm going to go and I'm going to bring you
Yes,
somebody that can
yes,
teach it to you.
yes.
But I'm not going to put you in this downward spiral. And even to the point where now I started seeing, this started maybe like 2 years ago, where they started having coaches would allow you to finance their classes.
Mm.
And I was like,
Mm-mm-mm.
I can't be a part of that. If I'm working towards being debt free, why would I do the opposite to those that I'm working with? Why would I do the opposite to my clients and customers? I'm not going to do that. But I
Right.
literally saw people going and putting out $20,000 that they didn't have. Like putting out, $10,000 that they didn't have. And now you got to go pay that back.
Mm-hmm.
That's just as bad as you taking out a loan for a
Right.
cell phone. Like, it's not that serious.
Right.
And at the moment they thought that it was. So I saw a lot of people go into debt just trying to take simple classes
Mm-hmm.
that shouldn't have been a class that would have sent them into
Right.
debt.
Right. Right. Right.
And so unfortunately I saw a lot of people, and it made me make that commitment to the ones I was connected to. And they see the value in it now, and they're like, yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
see why you made
Yeah.
that commitment to us.
Yeah. And everybody's so approachable through the World Voice League. Um, I'm not saying you would do this, but if you have not because you asked not, but if somebody say, hey, Altarese, I have half the money now, can I, you may be able to barter or work something out with the person, the way I see you guys with the camaraderie, you never know, like you have the, say what you need, you know,
Exactly.
maybe somebody can work with you, to get you, because if they see potential in what you're doing, I mean, that's the way I see this group, I
And
see
I,
y'all,
I think about it like this. The
mm-hmm,
people that we see that are successful, Warren Buffett is not sitting down with Bill Gates and charging them.
mm-hmm, that's right.
They've gotten to a certain point. They just sit down and they talk. They sit down. They're people. They look at each other as people. There's certain things that I charge you for, and there's some certain things that we're just people. Can we just go back to being human beings?
That's right. Human beings.
And so there's times where I share all types of stuff, and I'm just sharing and sharing and sharing. And there's other times where it's going to be things where it has to have a price tag on it.
Right.
They'll deciphering between the two is why I have a team, because I'd be out here giving up everything.
Giving everything away.
But you definitely have to, you can't start out with saying, I care about people, and then move to, I care about the money. And I tell people, even a few weeks ago, I was telling people in my accountability group, I said, listen, you can vote, you can get both. You can get, more engagement and followers and clients and more money, but you have to have a focus.
Mm-hmm.
Is your focus impact or money?
Right.
Because you can't focus on both. You either going to focus on the impact or you're going to focus on the money. And it's not to say that focusing on the money is bad, but when you flip flop back and forth, you hurt people.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And there's too much trauma out here now. You don't need to be re-traumatizing people, because they broke and you just made them feel worse.
Exactly.
Because they don't have no money, and then they resort to other things, and it's just that's it in a nutshell.
That's it. So, Sheree, let the Speak Easy audience know how they can reach out to you and get in connection with you.
Sure. I can be reached at scspeaklife@outlook.com, or I can be reached on the Speak Life page on Facebook, or Sheree Casey on Facebook, Sheree Casey on Facebook, through any of those means, by any means necessary.
By any means necessary. So I appreciate you coming on today. Guys, this is one of those segments that you'll probably have to come back and listen to a couple of times. Share it out and come join the conversation. Sheree was just telling you about, the free Facebook community and just the things that we do, and some of the things and opportunities that are right there in that community. Come and join us, bit.ly/World Voice Community. It's free community, and we just want to support you.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the biggest things, is that I think everybody needs a platform to have their voice heard.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we're all about in the World Voice League, is creating platforms to have people's voice heard. So that part. I'm super excited. Make sure, again, you join the conversation, leave us a review, bit.ly/Speak Easy Podcast Show, all lowercase, or you can check us out over on Podchaser. If you're not on there, I don't know what you're missing. Listen, that part. But not just that, guys. We're super excited. The World Voice Summit, we have a few more days left. If you haven't done so already, go check us out. You're missing out on this good stuff. And I'm telling y'all, you're going to want to get the replays. Why? Because, man, it's going to be stuff that you're going to want to listen to all throughout 2020. With that being said, I am your host, your voice manager, Altavis Pelzer. Yes, that part. I unmute the voice of women who are ready to speak up about what has kept her silent for way too long. With that being said, until next time, don't forget to press it out. See ya.